We've been here for about 5.5 years, and there was really nothing in the garden. There's a couple of things that have survived. There's a gypsophila and there's a lovely purple carnation, dianthus, that was here, and I've taken lots of cuttings from that. But apart from that and the 7 apple trees at the bottom of the garden, there was really nothing. Since I started the garden, I've used peat-free compost, and I think it's really important. I like Kelpie Compost because it's created locally and it's the seaweeds lifted off the beach in the East Lothian, and that's just amazing to me that that's actually now in the garden feeding the plants. So I've gone peat-free for some time now, and the garden obviously is perfectly healthy and happy on it. There's 2 big challenges with this garden. The first thing was that the whole thing is built on concrete. There used to be a drive down here and a garage at the bottom of the garden, and there's just concrete under everything. So really, if you dig down much further than that, the shovel hits concrete. So in creating the garden, I had to think about that. I have put a few little fruit trees in. They seem to be doing okay. Time will tell. But I can't really put anything in that needs a really deep root run. And a lot of my focus has been building the garden up, just constantly building up the level of the soil, just to try and compensate for all the concrete. The second thing with the garden is wind. It's really calm today and still, which is lovely. But you can be in Edinburgh, you come out to Aberlady and it's blowing a gale. We've had up to 90-mile-an-hour winds here. So they come from the west, and although we've got a high wall, I just have to be recognise the wind and keep everything lowish. We've got an area at the bottom of the garden that's sunken, so it's really out of the wind, and I've got some fruit growing along the walls down there, and they're really protected from the worst of it. A couple of things that I was slow to pick up on was seeds, growing things from seed. Because plants, I notice obviously in the garden centres the cost of plants has gone up quite a bit, and I took a long time to see the benefits of growing things from seeds, but lots and lots of stuff in the garden, even these huge big delphiniums, huge big lupins, have all grown from tiny little seeds. You just need a warm windowsill and a bit of patience. And the other thing is cuttings. Again, it's just a really cheap way of creating new plants. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I just tend to, if a plant breaks, or there's an obvious little bit to take off a plant, like some of the heuchera are a great example. Just break a little bit off and put in some soil, keep it watered, you get a whole new plant. And again, most of the stuff in here is either cuttings or from seed. Probably the most important thing for me is to welcome wildlife into the garden. I don't use any bug spray. The garden is full of ladybirds, it's full of bees. I have lots and lots of bee houses at the bottom of the garden, and they're just starting to take an interest. They'll go into the tubes and lay about 3 or 4 eggs. There's some tubes in there that are full with last year's eggs, so they'll be little baby bees. They'll be coming out when it gets a bit warmer. When we redid the garden, I put in a pond, and you get all sorts going down to that. You get all the blackbirds love having a bath. You get the little crowds of sparrows going down, goldfinches. I've even had wagtails going down and having a bath at the pond. So that's lovely to see. I found a toad a couple of weeks ago, so I've got a little toad house that I've put in. And we've had hedgehogs every year in the garden. So I just really try and encourage wildlife. As I say, don't use spray. I heavily mulch the garden rather than digging it, because a lot of the time when you dig, you'll notice you're pulling up. There's ladybirds sheltering, so I tend to just try and leave it be. But really it's just about nature and encouraging nature. So recently, even to feed the bees a bit more, I have dug out some grass and put some wildflower seeds down. So time will tell what we get. I'm not really sure what I'm going to get, but I'm hoping that that'll feed the bees even more.